In this episode of OG 55, we are breaking down the new Cars Land coming to the Magic Kingdom. Yes, we have done a video on this, but the angle we approached this announcement was more about the controversy. We want to have a little fun now with it and kind of speculate as to what goodies we might get in this new land. Up next on OG 55. Let's get it. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG 55. We are talking all about the Cars Land coming to the Magic Kingdom. We're going to theorize, speculate, and just have a bunch of fun. So we're going to skip the intros and dive right in. Here we go, Italiano. Okay, this is courtesy of wdwmagic.com. Now, this is the artwork that we got in regards to this new Cars Land coming to the Magic Kingdom. I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of zoom in on this stuff. So we'll start with this. Okay, so this is Big Thunder, right? This is Big Thunder. Now, all of this was the Rivers of America. Okay, so this was waterways and what have you. What's your take? How do you like the way this kind of butts up against Big Thunder? Where do you stand with this, Italiana?
So there were speculations that we heard very early on from Braden from Mickey Views that a East Coast version of something of Cars Land, basically like a Radiator Springs Racers Light, could possibly go into the Beyond Big Thunder, which was confirmed. It is based off of the Cars franchise, but it's a different take on the franchise as opposed to how it is for DCA. It's based off of literally straight from the first movie. Like literally you have Ornament Valley, you go into past like Route 66, you see Flo's VA Cafe, the Cozy Cone Motel, all that good jazz. Where with this, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but this kind of gears into of how Cars 3 basically looks, because when you watch Cars 3, it kind of gives you that outdoorsy kind of wilderness, kind of countryside, kind of thing. And I do love how they kind of had taken that approach with it, where it's you're going into the world of Cars, but you're not seeing what you're used to seeing if you were to watch the movie. And but I am still a little bit hesitant of like how this is going to look, physically in real life, because this is going to be something on the back of Big Thunder. And we always said, if you kind of look at Ornament Valley, it fits the rock work with Big Thunder. This isn't the case here. This is like a kind of seems like an offbeat kind of like little country town wilderness kind of in the thing. And as far as we know, that this is going to be based off of something with Mater, not necessarily Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, this kind of gives, for me personally, Northern California vibes a little bit, like that Big Sur kind of area. So that's interesting. We kind of go down a little bit, and then, but now we got some mountain ranges, some rock work, which looks like there's gonna be some snow on top of these, which is kind of interesting. That'll kind of change the landscape a whole lot in Frontierland. What's your thoughts on this, brother?
Yes, I think it's very interesting, because I believe that they confirmed that it's supposed to be designed like what is it, like the Rocky Mountain kind of area. So I think that's really cool. Again, it's different than what you're just used to seeing with the Cars franchise. And if you could actually look to the right side of those mountains, you can kind of see like a bridge, and you could kind of see the cars kind of going through it, which I'm assuming that's one of the e-ticket attraction part of this land. And actually, if you go even right to that, you could kind of see a car kind of banking a turn on the dirt path. So I think that's really cool. And speaking of the e-ticket attraction, a lot of people are speculating, okay, it's going to be the kind of same ride system as how Radiator Springs Racers and Test Track is, which that may be true, but it was funny when Josh D'Amaro was on stage kind of talking about this, saying like, you know, you'd hit through like water waves and dirt paths and everything. I think it would be very interesting if they did a hybrid. And this could be very daunting, but almost like a triple hybrid that you have like the top part of the vehicle, kind of like Radiator Springs Racers. No, I'm sorry. The bottom part, kind of like the Radiator Springs Racers and Test Track, but instead of it being on an actual full track, it could be trackless.
Yeah,
but
that would be.
But the top part would be the same kind of ride system as Indiana Jones.
See that? Oh, where it's on the hydraulics.
Yes.
That's interesting, Italiano. I like that. The other thing that I like about this, if you notice, it's not a flat land. It's very similar to the Villain's Land kind of concept art, right? That we just broke down, where it's like you can see there's elevation differences here. You have the car here banking this turn, but then down here you got cars coming out of a cave or a tunnel, right? Which is kind of interesting. Right. But then here you got the Rocky Mountains with the piston cup thing up here. But it looks like this is going to be a waterfall, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it'll be ice. I don't really know how they're going to do that, but I hope it's a waterfall component. That would be kind of interesting. Just because if we're going to lose the rivers of America, I would like to see some water in this land. But I do love the kinetic energy. I mean, and the multi-layered stuff. I mean, you can see the cars going around the track. They even have cars down here. You got cars over here. I like that component of it. I think that's kind of interesting. I think it's going to add a lot of cool kinetic energy to this overall area. And I'm telling you right now, Floridians, if you haven't been to Cars Land in DCA, the concept art, at least for the concept art for our Cars Land, looked a little wonky like this. It didn't look, oh my gosh, crazy impressive in the concept art either. But in execution, Cars Land is one of the most beautiful scenic areas Imagineering has ever done. I've said so many times, it bears repeating, when you walk from like San Francisco to that Cars Land area, the rock work, the archways, the beautiful Cadillac range in the distance, that kind of depth perception that they've accomplished, and the force perspective with the mountains. I mean, it's absolutely breathtaking. If they can capture some of that magic here, I think this is going to be a real treat. It's going to be kind of a mix of like Cars Land and maybe even a little bit of like Grizzly Peak kind of vibes here. I don't know. I think it could be kind of cool. What say you, Italiano?
It gives a new perspective of aesthetics to Magic Kingdom Park, because Magic Kingdom is basically, dare I say it, just a bunch of gray sidewalks. You know, there's like no real true kinetic energy to it, and I do understand that's why people wanted to keep Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America. I get it. There's very little water and kinetic energy in there, so it's like you're getting rid of the one place that does. But as we had spoke about this in several other videos, to a normie, they don't care about that. Not necessarily saying that the kinetic energy isn't a good thing, because you definitely get it here. But if you were to ask a normie to say, do you want Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America, or do you want a land based off of this highly popularized Pixar franchise with 2 attractions? A normie's going to lean towards that, you know?
Well, yeah. And Disney is Disney is more concerned about making sure the normies are happy. They're just sheer numbers. There's more of them than the diehard Disney fans. And look, I'm a diehard Disney fan, you know, I am. But as a business, and I get it, business is a dirty word, you know, in the fandom and stuff, but it's a business. You got to go towards where the money is and what the masses want. I'm telling you, and that's why I'm saying in the fan circles, this Rivers of America thing is very controversial. I don't know, and I'm emphasizing I don't know, but I can kind of guesstimate. If you were to poll the normies, though, do you want the river or do you want the Cars thing for your kids? I don't think the river would fare very well in that poll. If you were polling normies, right? If you're polling Diz Twitter, yeah, the river is going to be 99%. But the normies don't think the way we do. You know what I'm saying? And you have to kind of put your normie hat on and go, you know what I'm saying? So Yeah.
There's
speculation.
Overall,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, there's speculation that Disney's going to reverse this decision because people on Twitter are mad, or the community or the diehard fans are mad. And it's like, I would be very surprised. I don't want people to get their hopes up for something that probably isn't going to happen. They're not really, they understand the diehards are mad.
Yeah.
But they also understand the normies probably want this. So I think it's a go, you guys. Look, I know a lot of people are kind of latching on to hope, like, oh man, they might reverse this decision. Maybe they will. I seriously doubt it. I really do.
And I know people are going to get on me for saying this, but I really hope Disney doesn't in that sense. I do want Disney to hear us out, us fans, for what we want. But if you do that every single time for every little single thing, it could become very detrimental to the company, to the parks, because then you're just leaning your product onto, okay, what does the Disney fandom want?
Well, yeah, and you can't chase every reaction. You can't have a response to every complaint, And it's like if Disney were to listen to the fans with our Tower of Terror, we would have never have gotten Mission Breakout, which most people say is a superior version of that ride than what we had before. So sometimes fans are not right. Sometimes the fans do jump to conclusions and are kind of closed-minded. It's okay to admit that as a fan, to kind of have that self-awareness. So sometimes I think Disney, you want to listen to your most loyal fans, absolutely, but you don't want to be married to reacting to everything that they complain about, because if you do, you're kind of dead in the water. I mean, look at Rise of Skywalker. That's a perfect example of a product that was overreactionary. They took all these complaints from various little corners of the fandom, and they've addressed all the complaints. And guess what? The end product pleased absolutely nobody. Okay. So Disney has to take some risks here and go, you know what? Yeah, there's a lot of noise in our community, a lot of complaining in that fan community. But you know what? We're confident in the product. We're gonna hit a home run. We're gonna do 10 out of 10. We're really gonna try to impress people. We're doing it anyway. I think they kind of have to do that and kind of block out some of this noise. Go ahead, George.
Exactly. And take the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer out of the equation. Just looking at this piece of concept art just as is, it looks like something that would be put in a California-based Disney park. And I'm actually very surprised and interested in how this is going to be in a Florida park, because this is completely out of the realm of what they would do at Magic Kingdom as opposite to Disneyland, especially with all the trees and a lot of the the layers of the Force perspective. It definitely does give off the vibe of how Radiator Springs Racers and Cars Land is in DCA. But I do remember at D23 when we were there, when Josh D'Amaro got the phone call from Mater, and we were sitting there, I was like, oh my gosh, they're actually going through with this. Because in that moment, we're thinking Radiator Springs Racers Light,
Right.
But when they showed this concept art, I am so glad that we did not get a mirror copycat version, or even a diluted version for that matter, of what's over in California. Because when I come out to California, it's like, okay, I get to look forward to Cars Land. I get to look forward to Radiator Springs Racers. So I'm glad, if they're going to use the same IP, I'm glad they're taking a different approach on the land, the attractions, the aesthetics.
Yeah, no, me too. I think there's a lot of potential with this concept. You know what I'm saying? It is very California kind of vibes, or more heading west kind of vibes. You know what I'm saying? For sure. This is the Rocky Mountains, or inspired by the Rocky Mountains. I think the Big Thunder is Utah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So they're kind of going in that direction. New Frontiers. I get it. It's kind of massaging this Frontierland theme. It's a totally different angle than before, but it's an interesting one. And look, here's the thing. Disney, I think in order to be creatively excellent, you have to take some risks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to piss people off and really swing for the fences. And this is a risk, a huge risk. You're getting rid of the Rivers of America. I'm not downplaying this at all. This is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I think as a company that prides itself in creativity, I think you want to do the risk taking. You don't want to shy away from big moves that might upset some people because you're scared. You really want to try bold and new things. This is one thing actually I think Universal has the advantage over Disney, because Universal doesn't have the nostalgia so ingrained that Disney has, where Universal can remove stuff. There might be a little bit of noise on Twitter about it, but it's not a big deal, really. Disney removes something, it's like, oh my God, right? Universal has more creative freedom to kind of do what they want and play. And I think that's really good for Universal. Disney, it's a lot harder. Every time you want to change something, you get a whole bunch of pushback from every fan, and it's like, it's tough to be creative when you're boxed in like that and you're so handcuffed to the nostalgia. I'm kind of glad Disney's kind of breaking out of that and just sort of like, hey, we have an idea, let's try this. You know what I'm saying? I think it's ballsy, it's a risk, but I'd rather have that than have it stagnate. I don't know. What say you, George?
Yeah, and honestly, it's a little bit contradiction in that realm, where it's like people say, oh, Universal's taking risks. Universal's, going for the juggernaut, and then it's like when Disney does something, they want them to play it safe in a sense and not take the risks, when the whole company was founded about a man who always took risks every single day. And it's like, so when Disney does something like this, the fandom of how they react,
just what the fuck did he do?
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. But that's the thing. You want to take risks, right? And that doesn't mean like everything they do, you should just love it. No one's saying that you should just auto love everything. No, I'm not saying that. George isn't saying that. What we're saying is these parks were made to change. These parks were made to evolve and to grow. And I'd rather them play and try and even fail sometimes or stumble than get lazy and just keep everything the way it is. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of fans disagree with me on that, but that's kind of where I'm at. That's where OG's at. I want them to experiment and play. I get it. Rivers of America, it's a big thing to play with. I understand that. And I sympathize with people that are concerned. But the spirit of Disney has always been risk-taking, innovation, evolution. Let's see where this goes. I'm telling you, the last iteration of A Cars Land is absolutely breathtaking. This thing is probably going to be spectacular visually. You know what I'm saying?
And also, too, people were saying, we have to get our bang for our buck for those multi-lane experiences. Well, Disney's adding more capacity with more attractions. That's going to add on for those multi-lane experiences. And exactly. I'm sorry, when this is all done, don't tell me that these lines for these attractions are not going to be...
They'll be huge, dude.
Over 60-minute waits.
They'll be huge. This is a Cars Land with new technology, I'm assuming. Yeah. It's not going to be the same tech exactly as the one from 2012. I would assume there's something. It looks like there might be a trackless element here or something, But yeah, this is going to be different, and yeah, it's risk. But you know what? Disney was built on risk. Let's see what they got. I'm cautiously optimistic. You know what I'm saying with this? I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. We'll see. It's a gamble, though, man. It really is. You're taking away something, Rivers of America, which is quintessential Disney. I mean, this is not a small thing. It is a big thing. So I get it, fandom. I get it, but we got to see where it goes.
Now, Damaro did mention that there's going to be a second attraction, was going to lean more towards, like, for the younger, I'm assuming, like the little ones or families, that can go on. And so it does make me wonder what that entails. And if I had a guess, for anyone who has seen Cars 3, there's a part in the movie where it's kind of like a rough house, kind of like in the mud pit kind of thing with like the school bus and everything. So I think that they may kind of do something along the lines where it's like kind of like a Mater's Junkyard Jamboree type of thing, but do it like in the rendition of Cars 3. I think that would be more appropriate. And I'm for sure they're going to have obviously shops and
Yeah.
Maybe even another sit-down restaurant. I think that would be really cool.
They probably will. They're definitely going to have shops because that's kind of, honestly, that's a huge part of the equation here. Because from what I understand, the Cars franchise is a merch machine. It moves merch like crazy. So yeah, and you know, like we say, like, oh, there hasn't been like a Cars movie in a long time, and yeah, but the merch is still very popular with families. Yeah. So that's a big part, and that's also a big part of why Spider-Man has such a huge presence in Avengers Campus in California, is because Spider-Man is also a merch king.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be interesting. I'm cautiously optimistic. Like I said, Floridians, the California art for our Cars Land looked a little hokey too. It didn't, at least it didn't capture the grandeur and the wow that you see in reality and in execution. And I think we're going to see that in execution here as well, this absolute beauty. And it's going to be a different take on it. It's going to be with the big pine trees. And it's almost like this Cars Land Grizzly Peak hybrid. I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated. So, you know, in terms of that second attraction too, I do agree with you. I think it'll be some Mater thing. They might even utilize the Luigi's technology or something for something new.
Yeah. And it would just be nice just to see more added to the Magic Kingdom. Because a lot of times compared to Disneyland, and now I know a lot of Floridians will probably disagree with me because a lot of you Floridians, I'm sorry, you have not made your way out to Disneyland yet. And I'm sorry, if you did, you would definitely see in comparison, Magic Kingdom needs more lands. It needs more attractions. It needs more stuff to do.
Well, and it also needs to break away from being the diet Disneyland park. Right now, it feels very much like I like to call it live action Disneyland, where it's like it checks all the boxes technically, but it feels soulless. I think that making it very unique and very different with the Cars Land area, with villains, and you start to give Magic Kingdom more of its own personality, more of its own identity, which I think is very important. Because right now, it does feel like a lighter version of Disneyland. A lesser version. And as a Disneylander, Magic Kingdom was my least favorite park. It was weak as hell. I mean, it was weak. I mean, I liked Hollywood Studios, honestly, more than Magic Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because I'm from California and I'm used to Disneyland. Even Slimer, when he was down here, he's a Floridian. He was like, okay, I see what you're saying, OG. Disneyland is like, what? Like, it's crazy.
It's the goat.
It's the GOAT. And you go and then you go to Magic Kingdom. It's like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So when you do Cars Land, when you do Villains Land, you start to make Magic Kingdom different and give it its own identity, its own DNA. I think that it starts to break away from that reputation of being diet Disneyland, and it becomes its own thing. I think it's good for the park, but we'll see, you know?
And I will say this, and we could maybe do a whole nother video on this, but I will say this. It's probably going to be some controversy, ballsy words I'm going to say. As much as Tomorrowland needs work at Magic Kingdom, I mean, it definitely does in Disneyland as well. Honestly, I personally feel like Fantasyland's Magic Kingdom needs a lot more work.
It's a hodgepodge,
especially the original section. Not so much the new Fantasyland, but the original Fantasyland section needs a major facelift.
No, it does. They should have addressed all that when they did New Fantasyland. Because it's like they have this beautiful new area, and then it's like juxtaposition with like this very 1950s version of Fantasyland with the medieval like aesthetic. They should have addressed all of it. I don't know why they didn't. So I don't know, but yeah, they should fix Fantasyland. They absolutely need to. That's a huge eyesore. It saddens me too, man. I wish that we could do something with Small World over there in Magic Kingdom. Like every other castle park has like a proper Small World. From what I understand, they have like the Disneyland version with the facade. Yes. I would love Magic Kingdom to get that. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But
here was my take. They moved Dumbo over to Storybook Circus. That I feel like it's a land. Yes, I get it. It was for younger kids. It was supposed to be Pixie Hollow. I would have left Dumbo where he was at, and I would have moved It's a Small World over there and used that big chunk of space and give it a nice outdoor kind of facade, the boat starting outside like Disneyland does. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, no, I would too. I mean, Small World, especially in light of Richard Sherman passing, I would love to see Small World get its proper respects, so to speak, at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
You know, and get the grand kind of grand version of that attraction, like it was really meant to be.
Yeah.
It feels weird to me. It was very weird to me, just kind of crammed into like the Disneyland, like the Disney like the dark rides, like it's next to Peter Pan, and like it felt weird to me. It needs the facade. That's part of the experience, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really does. I mean, the best part about that ride was your mom. Actually, your mom loved it, and that made me happy. You know what I'm saying? How your mom loved it so much.
Yeah, that's her favorite ride. And actually, when I was out at Disneyland with Slimer, we both had our moms on FaceTime.
Did you?
Yeah, we both did. We rode It's a Small World, and we brought our moms along the journey because they both love that ride.
That's beautiful. I love that. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah. I love that. Your mom was my favorite part of Small World because she loves it so much, you know?
Well, thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I do wish that eventually we get the facade and everything for Small World and address Fantasyland and kind of do that whole area right, you know? We'll see. Yeah. But good things happening at Magic Kingdom. You know, this park is evolving. That's exciting. You guys wanted a epic universe response, right? So here we go. Or, you know, and any epic universe response, any turbocharge is going to come with the possibility they might put something in you don't like. That's the nature of the biz. That's the nature of the game. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if change or new things scare you, then don't wish that they respond to epic universe then, and then just say, hey, keep it the way it is, you know. But if you want a response, the response might not be what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way life is. So we'll see. But any final thoughts, brother, before we skedaddle?
I honestly, again, I'm very curious. I'm very optimistic. As I said, I always like to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. Not saying that it doesn't have its critiques and criticisms that, you know, are going to come along the way. I'm for sure I'll find something to say, you know, when it's all said and done, oh, Disney, you know, you maybe should have went this route, or, you know, I didn't really care for this too much, but I'm going to keep an open mind. And honestly, I'm very excited, not just with the Cars Land, that it's going to be completely different than Disney California Adventure, but just in general, as you had said, the change of what is to become of Magic Kingdom. They're adding Cars Land, they're adding Villains Land, and again, as Damaro said at D23, this is just the start. You know, what is even to become even after Beyond Big Thunder?
Right, exactly. Well, we just did a video reacting to the Noble Way, and they got 700 acres next to Magic Kingdom, assuming all that land can be used. You know, they got to do that study, that water table study or whatever. But assuming it can all be used, 700 acres is a lot of room, you guys. I mean, that's basically Bob Iger's backyard. I mean, to give you an idea how big this is, you know. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it is, in all seriousness, a huge amount of space. So we'll see. We'll absolutely see. But Italiano, really fascinating conversation. This D23 fan event has been the gift that keeps on giving, because there is just so much to dive into and speculate. As a Disney fan, as a nerd, I just love this stuff. I mean, there's so much we can dive into.
Oh, absolutely. And I do have to say too, it did put a very bitter taste in my mouth when I was very disappointed that I wasn't able to get us D23 tickets the first run. But God bless Lucas Kim. You know, he came through for us. And I mean, if it was, again, we'll continue to say it like a broken, a broken Yeti. That if it wasn't for Lucas Kim, we would have never been able to experience that weekend. So, you know, all the credit goes to him.
Forever in his debt, 100%. Forever in his debt.
And but after experiencing this new kind of approach of what Disney had done with D23, moving the bigger presentations to the Honda Center and what have you, having assigned seats for all 3 days, and just putting on spectacular shows and entertainments and presentations and panels and the show floor and everything that it had to offer, that I was very close to ending my D23 membership. But honestly, I am definitely keeping my D23 membership, and I definitely want to go back out to D23. And the next time, I am not putting myself through the hassle again. I am just going to hand my money over to Lucas.
There it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it was a great experience. It really was. This was my first like 3-day event sort of thing. I've only done a 1 day before. That was it. I did in 2019. I did 1 day. That was it. We did 1 panel in 1 day. This 3-day thing, and we had, you know, each day a new big panel at night at the Honda Center was so much fun. You know, great. So much fun. Yeah, so much fun. So really cool stuff. But yeah, thank you, Italiano, for joining me today. If you could let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Sticky. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below all your thoughts, opinions, speculations, outrage, whatever it is. Just keep it civil in the comments. I know this is kind of a touchy subject because it's the rivers of America, you know, but if you just keep it nice. If you disagree with us, that's absolutely fine. Just, be nice about it basically, and comment down below. We would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching this episode of OG55. Keep it easy peasy. There you go. Keep it easy peasy. Bye, everybody.